Hello everyone, I'm really happy to welcome you at this webinar of farmerswife software, which helps you manage your projects at production, post-production and rental facilities. Today I'm going to walk you through scheduling and bookings and all different features around bookings. But before we start, I would like to introduce myself and do a little introduction of the company. Then I will demo the software, and at the end we will also have time for questions, which you can ask in the chat during my presentation. Hopefully I will be able to answer all of them. So let's start. My name is Joanna and I've been working in farmerswife for 3 years now. Before I started working here, I worked at various production companies as a production manager and producer, and I have over 7 years experience in the media industry. I've been also using farmerswife as a client, so I've been around the software for some time already. farmerswife has been in the media industry for 20 years and it's becoming standard for many big companies. Some of them you can see on the slide, but this is just a small selection of all our wonderful clients. It all started in 1999 and the guy that you see on the slide is Mats Linden. Back then he was co-owner of Chimney Pot Sweden and he couldn't really find the product that would help him run the facility. So he came up with the idea to write his own software, and this is how farmerswife started. Mats is actually still one of our main developers. Currently our headquarters is in Mallorca, where we used to do a lot of our trainings, but obviously it's not really possible now, so we only offer online trainings at the moment. Before we moved to Palma, our office was located in the little village on the real farm, and if you ever wondered why we are called farmerswife, this is the answer. We have over 25,000 users now, and they are located all over the world, and so our offices are. Except headquarters in Mallorca, that I already mentioned, it's me in Warsaw, a little office in the UK. Part of the dev team is located in Sweden, and our team members are also in the US. Now a little bit about the product. On the left-hand side of the slide, you can see all the components of basic farmerswife software that help you manage the projects from start to the end. So from when client asks for the quote, approves, then you need to book and manage your resources to complete the project, and at the end create the invoice. Of course, it also helps you track the cost throughout the project and run various financial reports. But with the extra options that you see on the right-hand side of the slide, you get access to more advanced features and additional modules that can be added to the software anytime. I'm not really going to cover all of them today during the webinar, but I would like to briefly tell you what the modules can do and what they are about. So the media management and the media library provides a convenient way to manage up to 12 libraries where you can complete media details and where you can record all the information and format types as well as other information related to your media. That can be also linked to your projects. And with the search tool, you can easily search and identify all the media that are linked to your projects. Equipment management tracking is for organizations like rental, production or broadcasting companies, but also universities and any other company that needs to keep a close eye on all the equipment. In general, it allows you to check out and check in your objects and track the location of the equipment, and also track the status of the equipment and its movement. On top of the booking with the equipment management and tracking module, you have this extra step to verify if the booked objects actually left the warehouse and if they came back after the shoot. The equipment management tracking module also gives you support to consumables. Budgeting is used by most of our clients, as it not only allows you to create complex quotes, but it also gives you full picture of what has been budgeted and later on spent and invoiced on the project. And advanced personnel management is usually for big companies to handle union type rules related to working time of the employees. With this module, you can set up different rules and assign them to your employees, where you can specify how many hours per week they should work and also what should happen if they are working overtime. So you can set up some compensation rules, and this can be money compensation, or it can be also days off. And with this module, all the calculations happen automatically. The last module is divisions, which helps you to send the invoice from the specific department or company that the item belongs to. So if you have more than one department in your company and you need separate invoicing, this is where you would use divisions. farmerswife is always sold with the combination of advanced and web users. Advanced users have access to client desktop application, and these are usually producers, production managers, accountants, or financial department that need access to all information about the projects, and they can access farmerswife through client desktop application, but also iOS web client or mobile web client. Web users, they are usually operators, and they need to see the calendar and schedule. They access farmerswife through web or iOS application, and their options are limited as they don't need to have the overview of everything that is going on in your facility. So they don't have access to client desktop application. When you purchase farmerswife, you can do it in two ways. So either you can buy the server and you can install it in your facility, and then you pay one-off fee and farmerswife is yours forever. When you decide for this option, it would be good if you have at least IT person in the company that can take care of your server and make sure it's upgraded and that it's running smoothly. And then if anything happens, this person at least knows some basic features and maintenance. Or you can also subscribe to farmerswife, and we then host the server for you on a cloud, and you pay a monthly subscription fee. The price is always combination of a basic farmerswife server that I showed you in one of the previous slides. That was the left hand side part of the slide, and then any of the extra modules that you decide to purchase, and number of advanced and web users. So hopefully now you have a bit of overview of what is farmerswife and what it can possibly do for you. And before I log into the client desktop application, I would like to briefly tell you what we are going to talk about today. So today we are going to focus on scheduling and bookings. Before I show you all different ways how to create the bookings, I will briefly also explain what types of bookings you can create in farmerswife, and I will briefly show you two calendars that we have, and that is Hourline and Longform for short and long-term planning. I will also try to share some tips and tricks and some of new features related to scheduling and bookings, as some of them are really, really useful and really nice. Okay, so let's start the demo. I will log into client desktop application as Peter. Peter is my advanced user with access to all the advanced options. He is a producer and he has all permissions in farmerswife. So this little window is client desktop application window. In the background you can also see my server that is running, and it actually always needs to be running. So you can access your database. Normally the server is installed on a dedicated machine, or when we host it for you, it's installed on the cloud. So as a user, you never really see the server and you don't really have to worry about it. So now I will log in as Peter and I will see the hour line. The hour line is my basic scheduling tool. It's like a short-term day-to-day planning. On the left-hand side, I can see some of my objects and some of my resources that I have loaded to the view. And here at the top, I see the current day that I'm looking at. By default, it's always today, but you can also navigate, which I'm going to show you in a second. First, let's look at the resources. When you click on the clock icon, you will see the list of different views that are predefined views, which can be saved and created by every user. And this gives you quick access to different objects that you have in your database. So when I want to book edit, I can quickly swap to edit view. That will show me my edit resources. And if I want to book sound, I will quickly select the sound view. That will show me sound resources. This is very convenient because imagine that you have 100, 200 or even thousands of items in your database. Without the views, it would be really difficult to navigate and search for a particular object that you would like to book at the moment. And also it can happen that you have more than one booking manager in your facility, and maybe they have separate responsibilities. So one is responsible for sound and the other one for editing. So they can only work with the resources and with the views that they are interested in. So they never need to look at editing or never need to look at sound. They really don't have to. So it's really useful way to organize your hour line. The views can be shared, so when you save the selection of any type, you can make it shared or not. And as I said, there is no limit to how many views you can create as a user. So you can create as many views as you want and as you need. Here at the top, you see current day, and you navigate with the arrows on the keyboard. With the left arrow you go to the past, with the right arrow you go to the future. Past days are always colored in gray, future days are always colored in blue, and you can also collapse the view to see the full week. The color coding remains the same. You can also decide if you want to see Saturdays and Sundays. At the moment, I have this setting disabled, or actually enabled, because the setting says never select book weekends or holidays, and it can be configured in the toolbox. The toolbox is a floating window that you bring up with the spacebar, and it gives you quick access to different tools. Some of the tools are only available in the toolbox, but some of them are also available in the main navigation bar. For example, projects. You can access your projects here in the main window, but you can also see the same list of your projects here in the toolbox. I will get back to hour line because we are talking about hour line and how to navigate. So I have a calendar here, and with this calendar I can also navigate in the hour line. When I select any date here, my view will show this particular day. I can also click on the week number, and that will show me the whole week. With the command on Mac and control on Windows, I can also randomly select some days. If for some reason I need to look at all Wednesdays in July, I can do that, and this way I will see them here. At the bottom here you can also see the selector for years and months, and with this selection you can quickly get to any date in the past or in the future. And here at the bottom right corner you can see this new feature, and that allows you to configure how your toolbox calendar looks like. Before we only had this horizontal view, vertical view, and now we also have the horizontal view, so you can decide how you want to look at your calendar. I will hide the toolbox now, which you do again with your spacebar. And as you can see, I'm now looking at some random days in July, so all Wednesdays. There is a very nice shortcut on the keyboard again. If you want to get back to current day, you can use FN and left arrow on Mac and home left arrow on Windows, and it will always bring you to current day, so today, or we also say home, it will bring you home. One last thing that I would like to mention about Hourline is that you can configure a lot of display settings, and this is done again in the toolbox and in the last tab settings and in the relevant section that is called Hourline. All the Hourline settings that you configure here apply to how you personally see things in the Hourline, and it does not affect any of your users. So you can play around and check and uncheck some of the boxes and see how do you want to see things in the Hourline. So I think this would be all about the Hourline. So we can go now to our second planning tool, that is Longform. Longform, as the name says, is a long-term planning tool. It gives you some sort of helicopter overview of what is happening in your facility. On the right-hand side, you can select in the viewport, you can select the time range that you want to look at. It can be a month or any time period that you select in the calendar. So you can also select to look at 2 months or even a year. On the left-hand side, we have so-called trees. So we have a project tree, object tree, personnel tree, and classes availability tree. I will change the viewport to look at 1 month only, so it's a little bit more clean. And now I will load some projects to my project tree. This way I can see what is happening on the project. As I expand the project tree, I will see different projects that I'm currently working on, and I can see what is happening on the projects when I expand. So I will just leave one project in my view, so that will be Isle of Music. When I expand this project, I will see the bookings that are booked for the project, and when I expand the bookings further down, I will see particular objects that are added to the booking. There is a very nice setting here in the project tree icon, which says auto from viewport, which is probably not very clear. But what it does when it's enabled, it automatically loads all the projects that are booked and that have any bookings in the selected time range. So if I now go to September to see how busy I am in September, as you could see, some of my projects disappeared from the view. That's because they have no bookings in September. If I go to December, I will probably see my project tree empty, and that means I don't have any jobs booked for December yet. So this is a very convenient way to quickly see how busy you are in the coming months. Below project tree, we have object tree. and I will just get back to current month. When you click on the object tree icon, you can again see the selection of the hour line views. These are exactly the same views that you have saved in the hour line, so you can quickly load any set of your objects. So let's look at edit again. So the calendar that you have selected, the time period that you have selected here in the viewport, and the objects, the combination will show you the availability of your selected objects and users in the selected time period. The only difference between object and personal tree is that you can only load users and not any other objects to the personal tree. So if I use the same view, that is edit, because again I have the same hour line views available here, it will only load my editors and not the rooms or not the machines. A quick note here on the personal tree for those of you who are not very familiar with farmerswife yet. When you build your database and when you add objects to your object manager, you can add different types of objects. It can be facilities or equipment, machines, or any rooms and workstations. So this is pretty much self-explanatory, but we also have two categories for people. Staff category is very often called users, and resources are freelancers. The difference is that users, when you want to add someone to this category, they need to have a license assigned, but that also means they can log into farmerswife either through client desktop applications if they are advanced user, or web applications or iOS application if they are web users. The resources can be added without a license, and these are usually your freelancers. You don't really want to give them access to farmerswife, but you still want to book them on the projects. So this is the difference between users and resources. One of them, users, have access to farmerswife, and resources usually don't have access to farmerswife. So coming back to the long form, in the personal tree, I will not be able to see my freelancers. I will only be able to see my users. My users are also usually my employees, and that's why I can also book some personal bookings in my personal tree. As you start using farmerswife, you get familiar with different icons, and you can also immediately see that this person was sick, or this person was on vacation, and this person is having a day off today. The next tree that I want to show you is classes availability. I will go back for a second to Object Manager again to briefly explain object classes and the idea behind the object classes. So when you add all the objects to the Object Manager, you can organize them in so-called object classes. And the object class is like assigning a role to your objects. And the person or machine can have different roles in your facility. So if we take an example, so offline, when I double click on the object class, it will display all the members of that class. So I can see I have 6 members in the offline class, but some of them are also added to online object class. That means that on this particular machines, I can book different jobs, actually both jobs, offline and online, and when I will create the booking, I will get a pop-up selector, so I will have to specify if I'm booking offline or online. So going back to the long form, the class's availability is showing you the class and name and the number of the members in the brackets. So let me just load the same class. That will be offline. View class offline. So I know that I have 6 members here, but when I look at current date, so 23rd of July, I see that I have only 4 members available. I will also change the view here to see my edit objects. So you can see that 2 of my machines are already booked for different projects, and that's why it says that only 4 members of the class are available. This classes tree is very often used by rental companies when they quickly need to identify how many objects they have available. This usually applies to some equipment, cameras, lights, or some smaller pieces. The very last thing that I would like to tell you about the long form is again the settings. If you go to your toolbox and settings, you will see the relevant sections in the settings, and this is exactly what I showed you before. So it's a project tree, object tree, and personnel tree, and here is where you can customize what you can see and how you can see things in each tree. Again, these settings only apply to yourself, so you are not changing anything for other users. So you can play around and see, uncheck and check some boxes and configure the view that is the best for yourself. So we now know a little bit more about our calendars, so it's now time to look at different types of bookings that you can create in farmerswife. 19% or maybe even 95% of the bookings that you will create in farmerswife will be so-called project bookings. So they are associated with the project. They usually have rate assigned and they can be time reported. And you can also run a financial report on the project booking. Most of the bookings that you can see here, except this one, day in lieu, these are the project bookings. When I open such booking, I can add some more details about the booking. I can select the booking name. I can also add a note that will be available for the editor when he logs into the web client. And I can also add some custom fields that are linked to the booking name. So if you see now, when I change the booking name to equipment, my custom fields will change, but I will change it back to edit because this is my edit booking. Below, I can also see the booking history and all the members that are involved in the booking. And I have also the section where I can add ad hoc extras. Here is where I can add all non-bookable objects if I want to charge some extra fee on top of the booking. Except from project bookings, we have also ad hoc time reports. And the difference between booking, project booking, and ad hoc time report is in the financial reports. Because when I will create ad hoc time report on I Love Music, you will not really see the difference. They look almost the same. The difference is that my ad hoc booking is already time reported, so it automatically turns green. Time reporting is a feature that you can use if you want to compare the data between your booked and used numbers. Booked numbers is anything that you plan and book as a production manager or scheduler, while used time is something that your operators or editors will update on each booking. So the bookings that can be time reported are all the past bookings. If the booking is time reported, it has this green little icon, and when I click on the time report window, I can see that I have planned 7 hours for this job for Dennis, but he actually time reported 4 hours, which means he did it quicker than I thought. If you want to track all these differences between what was booked and what was used, then the time report is a feature that you might want to use. And now, ad hoc time report, if I open the ad hoc time report that I created, you will see that the booked hours will always show 0. Why? Because this is something that you haven't planned. This is something that happened ad hoc. So maybe this scenario is not really possible, but it happens very often that the editor has something planned, but then there are some little jobs that you are not really aware of, because someone just goes directly to the editor and asks him, you know, for a favor or for some quick edit or something. And if you want to track all these situations, and if you want them to time report all the ad hoc jobs that they did throughout the day, this is a nice way to distinguish between bookings and ad hoc time reports. Another type of bookings that you can create in farmerswife are tasks. I will skip the media orders for today, because this is very different workflow, and honestly scheduling is one of the biggest parts that we always spend on in the training. So we usually spend at least one day when we do the training for new clients on scheduling. Sometimes it's even 2 days. It really depends on how complex is your workflow. So we could sit here for 2 days and I would not stop talking about scheduling and bookings and what you can do. So what I'm showing you today, it's also very basic, and I'm just trying to show you different options if something looks interesting to you, and if you would like to dig more into it and see more details. I really encourage you to book a one-to-one session, and then we can really discuss your individual workflow. So as I said, I will skip media orders and I will go directly to tasks. Tasks are very often used for all non-chargeable operations. So if you want to track the bookings that are not directly linked to any of your projects, you can use tasks. The task list can be predefined and customized in the toolbox again. This time we will go to settings and booking defaults. And here you will see the task request name and customs. When you click this little button, you will see the window where you can add new tasks type. That will be later on available for your selection. Another type of booking, maybe I will create it here because you can only create it on machines and equipment, is maintenance booking. So this is the booking that you create when you want to block a certain amount of time for some maintenance, so for fixing or upgrading. It simply blocks the object, and it will raise the conflict when I will want to book it for another job. So this way I know that I cannot really do that. And the very last type of bookings that I wanted to show you today are personnel booking. So these are all the bookings that you can add on the users only. So here we get back again to resources and users. So users are people who have access to farmerswife and have the license assigned, and they can be booked on all these personnel management booking types, such as vacation, sick, or training, or other unavailabilities. This list can also be customized. You do this in the long form and personnel tree by selecting custom type, setup, edit personnel event type, and here you can click on the green plus icon and add more personnel bookings. I will just briefly mention, but this is also another workflow that we don't really have time for all the workflows today. So another workflow that you can use is option bookings, and this is the way to show the order of bookings. So this is very often used when clients want to pencil the booking instead of confirm the booking. So if you have many requests for the same editor for the same date, you can use the option bookings to get a number in front of each booking, because all of these bookings will be booked with the preliminary status, which means they are not confirmed because they are just penciled. And if you have many penciled bookings, because this is how you work with the clients, you can keep the numbering of the bookings, and this way you can know which of your clients called you first and who first booked this particular time slot and particular editor or room. That was a lot of information, but now we know what bookings we can create in farmerswife, and now we are going to look at different ways to create bookings in farmerswife. We will focus on project bookings because, as I said, 95% or maybe even 99% of the bookings that you will create in farmerswife will be project bookings. So let me go to the day that is a little less busy. So the easiest way to create a booking is just to draw the booking in the hour line. I simply select the time range and I draw the booking with the mouse. When I release the mouse, I will get this long pop-up where I can select if this is my project booking or any other booking type. When I want to book my project, I will always see the recent project that I was working on as my first selection, but I can also browse through all my active projects and I can even create new projects from here. When you create a new project, you always need to give it a name. And you can, well, you have to. It's not that you can, but you have to assign it to a client. And the client is coming from your contacts database. This is all the information that you actually need to fill in to save the projects. But below you can also customize different fields and you can add them on your request to keep some more information about the projects. These fields are not only available for search but also for the reporting, so it's really nice to add them here. When you first open your database, this area will be empty, so we need to decide together which fields would be useful in the workflow. When we save our project, the booking is created. We can now open the booking and also add the booking name. And when we open the project, we will see our first booking. When we want to add someone to the booking, we can do it again in many different ways. So we can either drag and drop the person to the booking. So we can add Anna, or we can open the booking and add the person through the Involved tab. The result will be the same. The person is added to the booking. What else we can do to the booking? We can trim the booking from either right or left side, and we do this with the Shift on our keyboard. If you grab the booking from the right side with the Shift, you can trim it from this side, and if you grab it from the left side, you will trim it the other way, so you will start the booking later. You can also grab the booking and move it into our line to reschedule the booking, and then you need to confirm retiming. And you can also move it vertically. So you can also replace Avid 1 with Avid 2 by just dragging and dropping the booking from one line to another line. You can also copy the booking easily with the shortcut when you press Command on Mac and Control on Windows and hold the button and then grab the booking. You can see that I quickly was able to copy this booking, and this booking will have the same duration, the same members involved. So it's basically the same booking that was just copied from here. When you look at the booking, you have also this little icon, and this is booking menu. When you click on this icon, you will again get very long selection and different settings that you can use. I don't really want to show you all of it, but if you look at the repeat option, you will get another selection where you can choose on which days you want to repeat that booking. So this is also a very easy way to repeat and create the bookings. If you know that you have booked your editor for 8 hours today, but you know that you will also need him tomorrow and on Friday and so on, this is very easy way to repeat the booking. Of course, the risk is that you don't really see if the person is available or not in the view that I have currently set up, but you can always change the view first to the week view that I showed you in the beginning. So if you change the view and if you collapse the view, it will be now easier to actually see what we are doing, because now I've of course created the bookings that are causing conflicts. So we can resolve the conflict. So either you can move this booking to the for later. That's probably not possible. So you need to again drag this booking and replace the object. In this case, it will be the room that you need to change, and reschedule the booking. This is also a good tip. Probably those of you that use farmerswife already know, but in general, if you see any red color in farmerswife, I mean red booking, it should really bring your attention, and it means that you need to take some action against this booking, because it either means that the booking is not confirmed, so it has the preliminary status, or it has a conflict, so this is also something that you should resolve. So far we focused only on single day bookings, so these are the bookings that are individual bookings, and when you create 5 bookings from Monday to Friday as a single day booking, they will exist independently. So it has advantages and disadvantages. So let me just display some empty week and show you the difference. So I will collapse my view to the week, and I will create 2 single day bookings on Monday from 8 till 6 on summer is here, and then I will copy this with my command shortcut on keyboard to another day. For Avid 2, I will create the same booking. It will look the same, but it's not the same, for the same project, but it will be a multiple day booking. If I hover mouse over the booking, you will see this yellow frames around the booking, and it means this is actually one booking. When I hover mouse over this booking, you only see that this is a single day booking. Multiple day bookings and single day bookings is again the issue or the topic that I could really talk about for a very long time. But in general, what you need to consider when you create a single days booking and multiple day bookings is how you want to later on update the bookings, and if you want to reschedule the bookings and so on. If you have multiple day booking and if you change the booking name, it will update on both days with one click. This can be good or this can be bad. Single day booking are not related to each other, so if you update the booking name here, it will not obviously update on second booking. The same applies to involved members, and the same applies to time in out of the booking. So if you want to reschedule this booking and if you want to change, time in out of the booking, and if you change it on one booking only, it will ask you if you want to modify all days. So you can easily modify multiple day bookings. But sometimes you might want to keep your bookings independent, and then it's easier to create single day bookings, especially now that we have added new feature that I'm going to show you in a second. Because before it was a little bit tricky and complicated to handle single day bookings, and now in the long form you can actually multi-select single day bookings, and you can also apply changes to multiple bookings, which was not really possible before. And before we had this dilemma, let's say, if it's better to create single day bookings or multiple day bookings. I think now it is maybe solved with the new features that I'm going to show you in a second. So let's go to long form. Before we go there, one last thing about creating bookings in the outline. I will just select another day that is not booked that much. When I choose this day, when I highlight the day and I will drag and drop the item to the directly to the date, it will create so-called all-day booking. And so it's created from 9 till 6. And you usually in the toolbox again configure the default time in out of the booking. And this is usually your normal working hours. So when I drag the booking, the object directly to the date, it will create the bookings that will reflect my normal working hours. This is configured actually in the settings and in the booking defaults in the timing out section. So whatever you select here, this will be reflected in your bookings, so-called all-day bookings. All right, so now we can really go to the long form. And long form, as I said in the beginning, is for long-term planning. So here you can select multiple days or even a month. And remember about the setting that I mentioned in the beginning. So you can either select weekends or not. In this case, my weekends are excluded. And now if I want to book any of my objects, I can select the view to look at particular objects. And I can see which object is available for the whole month. And with the one click, I can basically drag and drop it to the selected time period, and I can book it on the project. The booking that I create in the long form, this is like multiple day booking. So if I look at this booking here, it will show as one booking with 23 days. So this is a multiple day booking. So if I will now do any changes in the outline for that booking, I need to be careful and decide if I want to change one day or multiple days. I can also add the booking by clicking on the green plus icon. So I can either highlight some time range or I can just deselect. So I don't have to select any of the time range. And I can simply click on the green plus icon and say that I want to create the booking from 1st to 3rd of July. And it will again give me the selection for different projects. So summer is here, now the booking is also created. When we are in the long form, I would like to also show you, just to briefly mention, because we don't really have time to discuss all the details today, but I would like to also show you another option that is very useful when you have some sort of repeated projects and repeated bookings. This is very often used in the broadcasting, where you need to book certain objects to complete certain projects. Every day the same projects, and the good example here is like evening or morning news, which I will now add to my project 3. And you will see when I will add it that it has a special look, let's say. So these are called binders, and the binder is like a folder where I can group my bookings, but this is not really anything that I wanted to show you. I actually wanted to show you the frameworks. Frameworks is a special way of creating the bookings, and it's another way to create the bookings. As you create frames where you specify every day from 6 to 9 a.m. I need one journalist, one camera operator, one camera and one car. And you build empty frames for the booking. And so when you work with the frameworks and you see empty slot, it's probably not good because we haven't booked anyone for today. So then if I click on this empty rectangle, I get the selection of all my available class members. So this is very quick way to book repeated projects and the same type of projects. Especially that you can also save it as a template. The templates are stored in the templates tab, and you can always reuse the templates for different projects. Couple of more things as we are coming to the end. So I wanted to show you two new features that are related to scheduling and bookings. One of it is available in the project tree. I will load again my simple I Love Music project. And you can now multi-select with Shift all the bookings. You just need to mark a first and last booking that you want to select. And you can this way reschedule easily the bookings. And before it was only possible to multi-select by clicking individual bookings with command. Now you can mark the first and the last booking and they will be all highlighted. Then you can grab all the bookings and reschedule the bookings by dragging them to a different date. Another new feature that is very useful and that I also mentioned before is multi-selection in the object tree. So you can here select random bookings. Let's say I have some bookings booked for Steven, and I want to replace Steven because he is going on vacation this week. So I will multi-select all the bookings that he has booked for this week and maybe even next week. And I can simply drag another user that is available. In this case, it will be Maria. And I will get a selection if I want to add Maria to these bookings or if I want to replace. In this case, I will select a replace. And this way, farmerswife will ask me, do you want to apply it to all your multiple bookings? If I confirm, as you see, all the bookings are now moved to Maria. This is very useful feature and long awaited. So you can multi-select the bookings in the object tree. And with the new feature, you can either add more objects to your bookings or you can replace. And this is very helpful when you are using single day bookings because you can quickly select them here and now it almost works as multiple day bookings where you can update all days at once. As I said in the beginning, I could talk all day or even 2 days about all different features related to bookings and scheduling, but I think we are slowly coming to the end. Today we focused on outline and long form. I hope you have now a little bit more understanding of what is outline and what is long form and how you can use them. I also showed you different types of bookings, and this was really still the introduction to all different options. But if anything is interesting for you, please do not hesitate to contact us to set up one-to-one session where we can go into details. The very last thing that I wanted to show you is the booking trash. Because we are very often asked if there is undo option in farmerswife. It doesn't exist as such, but all the deleted bookings you can find in your trash. And if you highlight the booking, you can add it back in and restore from the trash. So this is your safety trash. If you remove something by mistake, you can easily find it here. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. I would like to encourage you once again to contact us directly. You can reach me at joanna@farmerswife.com, or you can always write to support@farmerswife.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are planning more webinars in the coming months, and we always post all the information in our social media. So please get back to us and stick around if you have any questions.